Welcome. And that's the wrong screen. There it is. All right, welcome. Trucker King is in the house. Lurch is in the house. Actually, they're both in the chat.
You're right.
We have got a stage channel set up in the Discord for Flatbedders who want to pop in and ask their questions live. Of course, all the members can be here in the live chat to ask their questions textually live. So let's see, we got, like I said, we got Lurch, let's see, who's been a channel member now for 8 months. Jeez. Jeez Louise. And of course, Trucker King.
Hello.
Live stream. Yeah. Live stream. I know you're in here. I'll get to you. Why are you checked? Why are you checked? Oh. Come on. Okay, having a little trouble with my app here. Shut it down. Start it up again. We got Stobbs. Thomas Berger, good nobbin. Rick Rashid. Welcome to the stream, eh? I know, that's probably not an Ontario thing. And Nicholas. Nicholas, Outback Jack. While was plowing. Yeah, I saw your plowing earlier. Spied on you a little bit. Okay. Let's see. Let's check off some names here. Nicholas and Norwegian Trucker Nicholas. One and the same. David C. I agree, David. Bedrock. Did he review the I was gonna DM you, but I was busy. Bedrock, did he review the policies? Let's see.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Where was I? Oh yeah, Ryan. Hey Ryan. Darren Romaine. Welcome everyone. I don't know how many people we got here at the moment. Let's see. We've got 18. That's pretty good for it. So let me get back in here. Now, I don't see anybody in the stage channel except for Trucker King and Lurch. So feel free to hop in there. Ask some questions. Now, Trucker King is going to handle interacting with the audience members, and Lurch is going to handle passing questions on to me from live chat, because I'm actually going to be driving. Which you may have noticed when I went live. I had my truck. I had the wrong screen. That's what I had, the wrong screen. So we'll get to that in a second. Anyway, oh, there's Darren Romaine. David C. I'm just checking people off.
You're wondering what you were forgetting earlier. That's what you forgot.
No, I didn't forget it because I just pushed the wrong button to go live, because I'm always in the habit of pressing the live button instead of the Q&A live button. Details. Let's see. All right, we'll get to some of these later. Anyway, so get your questions ready. I am going to drive my truck. My man truck. So that's not what I wanted to click on.
David C says, "Oh, they'll be driving."
I will be driving.
Show you a truck stop fuel island background for the whole stream.
Well, if you'd like, I could stream that for you. It's just 3 minutes of the same thing looped. So I swapped out trailers from yesterday. So now I've got a flatbed and I'm hauling, looks like steel beams. Metal beams. Steel's metal, right? So I'm gonna haul these metal beams from Frankfurt. Hold on one second. From Frankfurt to Warsaw. While Lurch asks the question.
Well, there's a comment and a question. Nicholas says, "Oh, wow, nice truck." And Stubbs asks, "What did you like about the new Man the most?"
It's a smooth riding truck. It's comfortable, smooth. Oh, I'm like, what's wrong with my head tracker? I'm not wearing it. It's got a nice big windshield. I don't know if it's as big as the other Man truck, but it's still nice. It's quiet.
Ready to roll.
And like I said, it's smooth. It handles smooth. Yeah. So let me get moving here. Can I get out this way?
Finger says, "What a beautiful truck that you're driving."
Thank you. You could have one too. Oh.
It didn't cause damage, but I would cut that out of Swifty.
That... It didn't damage anything or hit anybody. That is blocked. I didn't see the blockage. Man, you guys are fixated on my Swifty awards.
That is smaller than the other ones. Vigner says he already has one. And Rex like, nope. There's a brand new dent in it now.
Well, it's nothing compared to the damages from yesterday when I got sideswiped. Alright, so we're gonna go out this way. I wonder if I could have gone around the building that way.
Turn left.
Without damaging anything.
Bob says the older Man trucks had a much bigger window. Almost no point having the sun visor in those.
Yeah.
Keep left, and then turn left.
David C. thought that was the way out too.
Turn
Thank
left.
you, David. I've been in that tower in real life. Wish I could find my pictures because this is Frankfurt. And I went up in that observation tower 40 some years ago.
Ryan says, do you like the camera beside the GPS?
I'm not used to that yet. In fact, I only remember to look at it a couple of times yesterday.
Keep right, and then exit right.
After I figured out how to turn it on.
Exit right.
Oh, wow. That's weird.
What, that display?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it is.
Top-down view?
Oh, well, that's the mirror in the top right corner there. Normally, we have a mirror there, but I'm using a digital camera instead. So that's so you can see clearance. I guess I could be in another lane. Or not. But it would be so you could see clearance along the front, which is pretty handy actually. So where's all my audience peeps? I had a lot of trouble to set that stage channel up. Even had to figure out how to use it. Y'all better get in there. Well, those of you that can. Flatbedders.
Keep left.
So as I recall, we're going to head north until we get to the major east-west motorway, Autobahn, that will run us east through Berlin, or past Berlin, and then into Poland, and then on to Warsaw.
I'll ask the question I asked the other day in Farm Sim that I probably could have saved. I was watching a disaster movie the other night called 10.5, and it made me wonder, have you ever been through an earthquake in your travels?
Not that I was aware of. I've
left.
certainly spent a lot of time traveling through California. I don't remember ever being in an earthquake, certainly not while driving, I don't recall. And I don't know, it would have had to have been pretty massive to feel it. I mean, like a 5 or something. I don't know if I'd feel a 4 or certainly not a 3. But lying in my bunk at night, it's possible I might have felt it, but I might have mistaken it for, you know, something else going on, like a truck going by, depending on where and how I was parked in a truck stop. I've actually experienced feeling an earthquake right here at my desk a couple of years ago. There was an earthquake in Southern California, and it wasn't super big, but it was big enough to be felt all the way here in Las Vegas.
New comments. David C says traffic looks real quiet. I'm not used to such empty roads.
Yeah, I'm thinking it is quiet.
Keep right, and then
Bedrock.
exit right.
Well, he said he didn't see the stage that she set up, but then he said, well, found
Exit
it.
right.
How to do this.
Somebody in here?
Yeah, Bedrock.
Okay. All he has to do is raise his hand, and then you...
He's up.
Okay.
I think he's actually going to say something.
Mm-hmm. No, he's not shy.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
I didn't do so I could see. So, by the way, I gave you your 2%
Oh,
credit.
did
on
you
the
finish that contract?
bill, finally?
Wow.
So here's my question, and I'm glad TK's in the room. If you had one game that you could play, and there was and it was a choice of 3 games, and you could only play one, and the other 2 were just you couldn't play them anymore. would it be either ATS, ETS2, or Farm Sim?
Okay, that's not a fair question. Because first of all,
Rashid, I
you
told
know
you.
the answer,
Rashid, I told you. He said he wasn't going to answer it.
and I don't want to be limited like that. See, and plus you didn't ask the question right. If you had these 3 games, and you could only play one, you'd give 2 of them up. You can only play one. Which one would it be, and why would it be Farm Sim?
We were discussing it this morning, myself and Rashid and Nicholas, and Rashid said, you know he's not going to answer that question. He's going to plead the fifth.
Yeah,
And
the
tell you
chat
that it's
Nicholas
not
says.
fair.
The chat Nicholas said yes. Answer. Come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really enjoy this, especially since Pro Mods is back. Pro Mods Europe is back available after the update, and I'm enjoying and driving Euro Truck again. That's why I'm driving now. There's no sense me come on.
Just
There you
sitting
go.
there staring like a monkey,
Right.
trying to do a math problem at the camera.
Yeah, I don't need to do that. I mean, it's okay to do that if I have something to put up on the screen. I can't be doing that while I'm driving. But I am enjoying Euro Truck again. Got a new truck. Got some new scenery to look at, I assume. Plus, I like American Truck Simulator because, you know, I like driving trucks in the U.S. I do love Farming Simulator, though. It feeds a different... I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Sorry, wrong button. Meant to push that, but no, that's not it either.
Well, we started talking about Farming Simulator, and it just threw him all out of whack, didn't it?
Yeah.
Keep left.
That's
Yeah,
not the unfold the plow tool. He's hitting the wrong buttons.
I need to set Stream Deck up for that, for farming. I haven't done that for Farming Simulator. And I keep meaning to. Because there's... Okay, let's not make this about Farming Simulator.
Right. So, I'm going to leave here, but Lurch, there was a question you asked him the other day. And he said that would be a good question for the Q&A.
I think he just asked it.
Already just asked it.
Okay, sorry.
Diane says, "Hey all, sorry I'm late."
Hey, Dan. I'm trying to catch up to you in my dreams. I'll never catch it, Diane. What time is it getting to be? 9:07:08. I may have to stop and advance the time.
Ryan says, "Do you have Pro Mods The Great Step installed?"
No, I have it because when I updated or went to get the Pro Mods Europe update, they had a bundle. So it had Pro Mods Europe, Pro Mods Canada for ATS, Pro Mods Middle East, Pro Mods The Great Step, and a couple of other mods for scenery, I think, or trailers. I don't remember what. Anyway, I got the bundle. So all I've installed so far is Pro Mods Europe because that's what we have on the server. Oh, by the way, for those of you Euro Truck drivers that have Pro Mods Europe, I am on the Euro Trucks server. So if you're... Wow, loud train. So if you'd like to hop in and either pass by, or we could even convoy, if you'd like to hop in, hop on in. The ETS Pro Mods Open Server. It's not the VTC one. I think. Wait, is it? Because we've got the. What's that, TK?
It has to be if you're running your skins.
I've got my optional.
Oh.
I didn't.
Right.
Well, it's the same server that I got in with Nicholas yesterday.
Other person says yes, it's the VTC.
Okay,
Exit right.
I didn't realize that. I should have, because Nicholas is running the public skin. Anyway, VTC members, hop on in if you want.
Keep right.
I'm on my way to Warsaw.
Rashid laughed so hard he almost fell off his chair by you taking the fifth. And Nicholas says, when is your birthday? I might get you a label maker.
What?
Keep hitting the wrong buttons. is my
Oh.
guess.
Well, the buttons have labels on them, but I'm not looking at them.
Keep left.
Because they're programmable buttons, so I programmed the name that I want in it. But I wasn't looking at the button, I was going by memory, and they're on different pages.
And he's going blind, Nicholas. You might need to make it a braille
Right.
label maker.
I'm blind and senile.
Not much to help with that part, the second part at least.
Now,
Make sure you're taking your vitamins.
uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Every morning.
Bigner says, I don't have Pro Mods, but can I hop in the server and drive at non-Pro Mods areas?
No. You have to have Pro Mods to get in this server. That's why it's configured that way. Pro Mods is free, by the way. Well, I do endorse... I paid to download the whole thing as one big file. Or was it? No, it was a series of files. But several of them were zipped up together. So all of the Pro Mods Europe files were in one 7-zip file. So, what is it? ProMods.net, I think. I do recommend you get the bundle. It was $3.75 for the download. That's a bargain. If you're gonna use it, and if you do use it, you'll enjoy it. You know, drop them a couple of bucks. It's a heck of a deal.
Just make sure you get 1 milligram of B12 every day.
I don't know how much B12 I got. Come to think of it, I'm not taking a B vitamin.
Matthew Roth is in the house.
Matthew Roth, welcome to the stream.
Edrock says, if you went back to driving, would you prefer OTR or regional?
Well, my short answer is regional, but I kind of hesitated because I had to think about that. I mean, I miss driving over the road. There are some things I don't miss, but I miss a lot of things. You know, probably over the road, because I like to be able to run across the country. You don't get bored with the same scenery all the time. I mean, when I did the big circle that I talked about a couple months ago, and I would make these runs from Phoenix up to Denver area, and then up to the Pacific Northwest, and then back to Phoenix, I didn't get bored with the scenery, but I do like variety. And so I really did enjoy driving, all across the country. I didn't care for the parts of the Northeast. I didn't like New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, parts of Massachusetts. But like upstate New York, Western Massachusetts, like outside the cities, yeah. Thank you. But I love driving all over the Midwest, the entire West, the South. I really, really did. I was just thinking about this yesterday, in fact, last night. While I was farming, I was thinking about driving. I was thinking that, it would be nice to do it all over again. But of course we can't. But if I could do it all over again, I'd start earlier. Like, I didn't start driving a truck until I was 50. I mean, I value the experiences and the things that I learned from being in the corporate world in the casino gaming industry. I value all that. I wouldn't know the things that I know, things that I value, if I hadn't had those experiences. But I really enjoyed driving a truck around the country. And as a single guy, it was easy for me to do that. If I had a family to think about, it would be a little different. It'd be tougher. But on the other hand, because my family was spread around the country, I have one daughter in Minnesota, and a granddaughter in Minnesota. I have another daughter that was living in Portland, Oregon with kids. So I would get to see them more than I have since I stopped driving. At the time, my mom and one of my sisters, well, two of my sisters lived in Kentucky, so I would sometimes get to go visit them. A friend of mine lives in South Florida, and I would occasionally take time off in South Florida and hang out with him. And I had friends in Shreveport, in Louisiana.
Keep left.
So yeah, I mean, being on the road as a single guy, it had some positives. I got to go do things. I wish I'd have done more things. Like, I wanted to go to, because I'm a military history buff, I wanted to go to there was a couple of military museums. I'd been to one of them a couple of times already, and that's the D-Day Museum in New Orleans. Recommend that, by the way. But I wanted to go again. And then there is the museum for the war in the Pacific in, I believe it's Fredericksburg, Texas. Never made it. And I probably never will at this point. I would like to have done that. So yeah, there's a few things I wished I would have taken the time to do.
We've got 2 questions in the chat here. If you could, would you want to try OTR in Europe?
Yeah. I mean, because it's a new experience, it'd be interesting. Sounds kind of exciting. Now that I've done it in, virtually, I'd kind of like to do it in real life. That would be neat. I know they had that, some of the people from Ice Road Truckers that did that. I never saw any episodes of it, but they had him go to different parts of the world to be a truck driver, like in I think they did it in Europe, but also India, I think, and South America.
Second question, is the fatigue factor in the game close to real life?
Yes. Yep. I don't know about an Euro truck, I mean, I've been told that it is, but in American Truck Simulator, it is. You have a 14-hour clock, a duty day. It's not a driving clock. You have an 11-hour driving clock in real life.
Keep right, and
And
then
a-
exit right.
Within a 14-hour duty day. In the game, it just emulates the 14-hour
Exit
thing.
Right.
But it still serves the purpose.
Nicholas said, make a quick road trip down there, no problem.
Yeah, I have a few memories of driving in Europe. You know, when I was stationed over there, I was based in Frankfurt, but I got around a bit, around, Western Germany. And it was neat. Of course, I like history, so I like seeing castles up on top of hills. Visiting a museum in Trier. Yeah, I find all that fascinating.
Edrock says, is there a reason you're driving in the dark?
I haven't stopped to change the time. I was gonna. But that's the same reason why I haven't is the same reason that I didn't stop and do a lot of the things that I could have done while driving over the road. I got get there-itis. I gotta get there. I'm on a schedule, man.
He's just trying to prove to us that he's not afraid of the dark.
Yeah. I'm not really on a schedule, but it just feels like that sometimes. All right, there's a border crossing up here, and I can pull out. Or I can wait until I get fuel, because I do need to stop and get fuel soon.
Stop says, I wish you could extend your drive time like in reality and have your break after a 4.5 hours drive time.
Well, in the U.S., you are required to take a 30-minute break within an 8-hour time frame. So the way that works is you have a 14-hour duty day clock, as I said. Once you start driving, your 11-hour driving clock starts. But after 8 hours of driving, you must take a 30-minute rest break. And then you can continue driving. Well, actually, you have to take a 30-minute break before you can do anything else. Should have taken another lane. Hey, get the lead out of your pants. All right.
Asked that question while I was on mute. Bedrock says, if you went back to driving as an owner-op, obviously, would you go back with Schneider or a different company?
I would prefer, I mean, there's a lot of benefits to signing on with a decent company like Schneider. and pulling their trailers. But given my druthers, I'd rather get an extended cab with a super suite, so it's like an RV, and pull my own trailer. I actually looked into doing that before I came off the road, and after I'd been off the road for a while, I started looking at the possibility of, you know, not so much the super suite, but keeping the truck that I had and then leasing trailers, basically renting from places like Extra, and there's others. That's what they do. They rent trailers. And I would rent a dry van trailer for some of the year, but I would rent reefer trailers during the time of the year when there's a lot of produce to be moved. So I would change out what I'm doing based on the season. That is a thing that I considered. But ultimately, I'm glad I came off the road because it wouldn't have worked. I mean, I wasn't even thinking about the whole pandemic thing. That was a negative impact to everything, obviously. But even now, there's a... Oops, I'm gonna pull in. I hear about a lot of people struggling, a lot of independents.
Rerouting.
In some cases, because freight rates are down, and I mean, you can't hardly cover the cost of fuel with some loads. So, kind of a blessing in disguise. If I had stayed over the road, I wouldn't be doing this with you guys now. If I'd have gone back over the road, I wouldn't be doing this with you guys. So, 6 of one, half dozen the other. I'm glad I'm doing this.
JJ Man and Artie Maynard are in the house.
Hey guys, JJ Man, Artie Maynard. Oh, I got to change the time. Welcome.
And Bedrock adds, but wouldn't that require you to bump docks instead of drop and hook?
Yes.
Even though it may pay more?
Yes. Yes, it would. There'd be no more dropping hooks. Unless I took some power-only contracts part of the year. Where you don't rent a trailer, but you do... just like if you have just a truck and you go to the freight market or external contracts, that's a power only setup. So you bring the truck and you pull a company's trailers. In my case, is that a guy in a burrito suit? In my case, I pulled for a specific company, Schneider National, and I just pulled their trailers. They worried about finding the freight, negotiating everything. They took care of everything. A lot to be said for that. Oops, that's not what I'm looking for. Is that a burrito suit or is that a hot dog suit?
Find out. Drive up to it.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to. It's a hot dog suit.
Dub says, if you take a 30-minute break at 7 hours, does it start counting the remaining drive time as if you took it at the 8-hour mark, or does it remain the extra hour for the second stretch?
Not sure I understand that. Let me see. Let me read it. So, you get 11 hours of drive time. If you stop driving after 7 hours and take a 30-minute break, you got 4 hours left. So long as you don't bump up against your 14-hour clock. The 14-hour clock never stops ticking. Once you start it, it keeps ticking until it's gone. So if you start your 14-hour clock, but then don't start driving for 4 hours, now you're down to a 10-hour day. You can only drive 10 hours. Well, actually, you can only drive 9.5 because you got to take a 30-minute break. So it all has to fit within 14 hours. The 11 hours, you know, you don't start it right at the beginning and you don't end it right at the end. So you got your 14-hour day starts when you turn on the clock and you do your pre-trip inspection. So there you've killed 15 minutes of your 14 right there. And you're not typically going to get started driving right away, but sometimes you do. So let's just say in a best case scenario, you start driving 15 minutes into your 14-hour day. You drive for 6 hours. And now you're 6 hours and 15 minutes into your day. Take a 30-minute break. In reality, I took an hour because, you know, took my time eating or whatever. So let's say it took an hour. The 11-hour clock stops ticking once you start your break. You go off duty. The 8-hour resumes where it left off after you start driving again. So if you drove for 6 hours, you got 5 hours left on your 11-hour clock. So you can keep driving for the rest of that 5 hours, unless, of course, you run out of your 14-hour clock. Hope that explains it.
Okay, next question. Nicholas was commenting that you could even have a streaming setup in the back.
Yeah, I thought about that. The problem is, and I would connect to the internet through my phone, but that gets dicey sometimes. You know how Wolf sometimes gets bumped off the internet when he's streaming? And there's lag issues, and that's how we get a Trucknado. Remember, we had a little issue yesterday when you and I were live streaming together. Latency does that. It induces that problem. So, using a cellular's data network is like that, and that's what Wolf uses. I think he's got the Verizon home internet, which is wireless. And sometimes you get lag issues. It's fast when it works, but you have connectivity issues, and that induces lag, latency, same as lag. So I would be using my phone to connect, but I would be getting dropped a lot. Oh, I think we're coming into Poland, right? So I'm hardwired to my router, which is hardwired to my DSL system or internet. I tried the Verizon home internet wireless system. It was too many issues. So, presumably, I'd have the same issues when I was out on the road. But yeah, I thought about it.
JJ Man says, I don't see how some owner-operators are making it the way freight prices are going. I don't understand why these people are hauling these loads for $1 a mile.
They shouldn't, but I understand why they do. You need a backload. You need to get, like, that. I ran into this problem in Florida and Maine. Anywhere in the Northeast. And even sometimes in the Pacific Northwest. You get stuck up there in that corner, and you need to get out. And you'll take a load just to cover the cost of fuel to get out. So it's basically a supply and demand issue. If you, as a truck driver, you bring a high-paying load to Florida or Maine or New Hampshire, you're basically, you either take a cheap load or you deadhead out for nothing, and you don't cover the cost of fuel. And so people will take a cheap load just to cover the fuel cost to get out. But yeah, there's a lot of issues. But I mean, people who work in the industry and become familiar with where to get good loads and areas to avoid, and it's also seasonal. And that's why I had mentioned earlier about renting a reefer truck during the season where there's a lot of produce to be hauled. Because freight rates for produce would go up because there's high demand for trucks to move that produce, mostly from California. So I would get a reefer trailer to do that, then switch back to dry van during the non-heavy season for produce. But you could also, I mean, there are people who made good money just running around the Midwest. So the upper Midwest down to Texas, back up to the upper Midwest, or even up to, well, to me, Ohio's back east. It's not part of the Midwest, but it is. It's considered part of the Midwest. So you could do a triangle. Upper Midwest, meaning Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, down to Texas. You could even run around Texas. But then, head east, northeast up to like Nashville, Louisville, Kentucky, up into Ohio, and then back up to upper Midwest. Some of the best loads that I got out of Ohio that didn't go to the Northeast, I would get loads out of like Toledo area, car parts, and I'd be hauling them to like Minnesota or Wisconsin or Chicagoland. There were some pretty good loads. I think TK knows something about the value of auto parts.
Yep. There's a lot of money in it. I can tell you that much.
Yep. So, as an owner-operator, over time, you begin to develop an understanding of where the good freight is and when. Auto parts, I think, is a year-round thing. Produce is seasonal and has to get moved quickly. So while you may be pulling a dry van trailer and hauling general freight from California, and it may pay well going out to the Midwest or something, but you can get produce runs that can pay even better because it's kind of a specialty thing. You need a reefer trailer, and there's extra costs associated with reefer operation because you need fuel for the reefer. Reefer trailers cost more. They cost more to operate, so you have higher freight rates for that. And during the rush following produce harvesting, there's a big demand for reefer trailers coming out of California.
So power only would be like subcontracting for them and pulling their trailers?
Yeah. And usually you work, I mean, in brokerages and load boards for independents, there are power only loads where the freight is the trailer. The trailer is probably loaded, but you know how in ATS and ETS you go to a shipper, you can book a load to go pick up a flatbed trailer with equipment on it. You just got to come and pull it. It's like that in real life too. You can specialize in power only. One of my website clients, he does brokerage, freight brokerage, and driver support. And one of the areas that he focuses on, in addition to, you know, drive-in and reefer, is power only. So he helps connect drivers with a tractor, a truck, with clients that need their trailers full of something moved. One time I did a load when I was with Schneider. I didn't pull a Schneider trailer. I went to a Target distribution center and hooked a trailer, one of their trailers from Target, and took it to Fort Worth. It was empty. They needed that trailer relocated from Phoenix to Fort Worth. That was the load. And that's a power only scenario.
Nicholas says, well, I guess Elon Musk is working on improving wireless data.
You still have induced latency though, because you have connectivity issues. I mean, with Starlink, I mean, we had someone, we still have someone who's in the Discord that uses that, and he got disconnected all the time. Yeah, I mean, from a server, he just kept getting disconnected because of connection issues. You know, it works great with streaming services because when you're streaming a show, it front loads a lot of the video file onto your system. And when there's a connectivity issue, it's typically brief. And during the connectivity problem, it's just playing the video file that it's already preloaded.
In essence, you're creating a buffer.
Yeah.
Ducky says, evening truckers, farmers, and teleporters.
Evening, Ducky. Or in my case,
Thor.
good morning.
Thor says, good evening, Boston chat.
Hey there, Thor. How's your head today? Seemed a little poorly yesterday.
Bedrock says, I know you had Trucker Kitty on the road. If you had to do it all over again, is there anything you would do differently to make life more enjoyable, i.e. amenities, setups in the truck, etc.?
For Kitty? Maybe. I mean, I don't know how, because he couldn't talk, obviously. So I don't know how he felt about his experiences being on the road. I know there were things that he didn't like when the air pressure release valve kicks on and makes that big noise. He hated that. It's kind of like when someone buys me a coffee and that grinder thing goes off.
Keep
Like that.
left.
I don't know. Kitty was already like 10 years old when we first went on the road. Or something close to it. Yeah, he was 10. So, I would want to, if I were to do that again, I think I would want to start with a kitten. So that he would be totally used to and adapted to being in a truck on the road. I mean, I saw a driver one time, he had 3 cats. And they were, well, 2 of them that he had out walking on a leash at a rest stop. Just at least one of them was really super friendly. And yeah, he said, I'm pretty sure he said that he had 1 or 2 of them as kittens when he first brought them out. But that's all they know. What's that?
Say he didn't talk. You say he didn't talk to you, but yeah, he did.
Well,
I
yeah.
want my treats.
Yeah. He did do that. Jeez, what is your problem, dude? Oh, it's 40 there. I guess his problem is me tailgating him when he's doing the speed limit.
Laura says, yeah, better, thanks. Zane is in the house.
Hey, Zane. How are things?
Bedrock clarifies, no, not just for Kitty, but just other things to make your life more enjoyable.
I'd probably play Farm Sim a lot. On the road. I mean, I had my gaming laptop with me. I used it to edit videos, but I could have been doing some farm simming. Of course, I wouldn't use the steering wheel, probably out on the road. I could check with TK, but I'm guessing that doesn't work so well.
Well,
did you bring your steering wheel pedals out to your truck?
no. I just brought my Xbox. I didn't have a computer with me.
Ah.
I had my
Well, your laptop.
I had my tablet. Oh, when I was recently? No, there was no way in no way. Not in a day cab. But
Right.
the sleeper,
I mean, I had my table.
yeah, you did. You had that set up, so it would have been doable.
Yeah, it would have been. The pedals would have been tough because underneath the table is where Kitty's food stuff was. So I'd either have to relocate that, and I don't know where that would go. Or I don't know. I don't know if it would work. But it'd be interesting.
Yeah, because for me, all I had was that pull-out drawer. I didn't have a table.
Yeah.
I had a TV mounted on the sleeper, but I had my Xbox hooked up to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a DVD player that was connected to my TV. Yes, like this.
Matthew Roth has been a member 6 months and asks, did you ever use paper logs when you were over the road?
A couple of times when my E-log device crapped out on me. It was a Windows device. I mean, I used a version of Windows operating system. And every once in a while, I'd get the blue screen of death. So I'd have to switch to paper logs, which I hated. I hate paperwork. But once I could, basically I learned how to reset the thing. I mean, a hard reset.
Right.
Because the device itself, it was just this controller unit up on by the dash. The real guts of it were actually in the back underneath the bunk,
Exit right.
and I could access it, the guts of it, through a side door from the outside. And I learned how to basically do a hard reset by, I don't remember if I had to pull the power plug or if I had to push a button. I don't remember how exactly. But it's a thing that we weren't supposed to know how to do, because people would tamper with them. I never did, because it seemed kind of foolish to me to do that. I learned about someone who had been manipulating it in order to drive a lot of extra miles, and it didn't take long before the company to figure it out, and they canceled their contract. Because it's a DOT violation. It's just stupid.
Rex laughing. He says, I'm asking the hard questions to make Boomer think today.
Keep left, and then turn left.
Pilot Bro says you could put in one of those wheel mounts that
Turn
fold up.
left.
Well, I mean, like I said, I had a table in my truck, and if you watched any of my trucking vlog videos, you've seen it. Especially if you watched me cook a pot roast. That table in the T680, it would swing 90 degrees. And actually, in the T680, in the upgraded models, the passenger seat could rotate 180 degrees, thereby turning that table into a desk using the passenger seat. I mean, I use it as a desk by sitting on my bunk. I didn't rotate my passenger seat.
We are finished.
Because Kitty's litter box was in the way, so I never did it. But if I didn't have his litter box in front of the passenger seat, I could have.
Skip Thor's question because the next one has to do with the load you're dropping off now. What load are you taking?
I don't know yet.
Well, you're just dropping it off.
Right. So I don't know what load I'm taking next. Or am I misunderstanding the question?
It says, what load are you taking?
Well, let's assume that means what am I pulling now? It's a load of metal beams. And we're delivering them here in Warsaw, Poland.
And the question I skipped, Thor says, can you show what key binding you're using for turning on or off the front camera?
Yeah. I guess I can do that. But I use the asterisk key on my 10 key.
Which is the key you don't have bedrock, so don't worry about it.
Right. Well, it's here somewhere. I probably scrolled right on by it. Seems to me it was up here near the top.
Back down camera controls, I think.
Oh. Infotainment display mode. The number keypad, that's the keypad on the right for most keyboards. If you got your 10 key on the right, it's that asterisk. That's what I use. Now I had to set that up. It's not by default. But if I have this on, I can use that to cycle through, turn the infotainment system off, the GPS screen on, and the camera mode on. So it just cycles through those three things, those three states.
Says thanks. And Zane says, how are you finding the new truck?
I find it quiet. I like quiet. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the loud guttural sound of the American trucks, but I like a nice quiet drive where I can listen to music or podcasts or audiobooks.
Just about to ask you about that because you sure do like to blast the engine in ATS.
Yeah. Well, I do that for the streams. Well, even when I'm driving with myself, I do that actually.
I mean that engine envy that you had with Bedrock initially was real.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It absolutely was. But I enjoy the quiet ride. When I drove my real life Kenworth T680, it was quiet enough. I didn't have a loud rumbly exhaust sound. And I was good with that.
Dobbs says, are e-logs mandatory no matter how old the truck is, or could you opt for paper logs?
There is a cutoff date. I don't remember what it is. Because some trucks, the trucks have to be wired or e-log capable. Because it actually, well, that's not completely true. Because you can actually use a mobile device, a standalone mobile device as your e-logs. I've done that. There's actually an app for your mobile phone. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, that I've used it when I worked at Penske truck leasing. Because I hate paper logs, as I've mentioned before. And so I would, when I was driving a certain distance, if you're a regional, if you only go out like 150 miles and back in a day, you don't need any kind of logs. But if you typically, I think if you're crossing state lines, maybe.
Yes.
Okay. Then you need some kind of log. So back to this mobile device or app. You can use that. It's kind of like using paper logs, except it's electronic. And it actually records, because phones can track where you're going. It'll actually record where you've been, how many miles you've driven. Because when you're driving interstate, you have to document how many miles you drive in each state for fuel tax purposes. But as far as an installed e-log system, I don't remember what the cutoff is, and it may not be truck specific. So I guess I'm not sure.
Sorry, I last I heard it was depending on the size of the fleet. At least I know like the farm I worked for when they were pushing all this e-log stuff, he had one truck over, so he had to implement e-logs in all his trucks. We had 6 trucks. And I don't know if they've changed it, because you're talking, this was back in 2013, 2014, when they just started pushing the mandatory e-logs. But then that's what it was. It depended on the size of your fleet. Age-wise, it's what you said. If the wiring doesn't work, here's the phone. And to answer your question, it was called Keep Trucking for the app, but
Okay.
it's now called Motive, because I use it as well.
Okay.
So I don't have to, but I like having my own record.
So modern e-log systems that are hardwired into the truck and interface with them, they monitor a variety of things within the truck, including hard braking events. They're actually it's a whole bunch of events that it logs. So there's a number of different sensors within the modern trucks, and the e-log system monitors all those, and it reports them back to the safety officers or whatever.
Keep right.
So if you have a lot of hard braking events, you're gonna wind up having a conversation with safety.
Turn right.
One time, I was driving and I bumped my ignition key, which was, I'm in front of my left knee, and I didn't bump it with my knee. I was using something to scratch myself with, and I bumped the key with that stick, and it turned the truck off while I was driving. Well, that was annoying. And I had, oh look, hey, there's a cool sign. One of my hotels. So I was annoyed that it turned my truck off while I was moving, and I had to, I don't remember what I had to go through to restart. I don't remember. But I get a message from HQ going, hey, we got this event alert. Tell me what happened.
Turn right.
So then I was annoyed by having to explain to some yo-yo that what happened, that was none of their daggone business, in my opinion.
Just be thankful you didn't have the in-dash camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah. I'm glad. See, that's another reason why I'm glad I'm not. Even if I was with Schneider, they'd have that stuff. Be part of your contract.
And then turn right.
So, yeah, there's stuff.
Turn right.
Nicholas says, so if you were to drive over the road in Europe, you would pick a man, right? P.S. There's only one right answer to this question.
I'm thinking Scania.
I knew it.
Perfect segue, because Ducky says, well, there's still new versions of Scania to be added to the game.
I mean, this truck's nice. I'm liking it. But I like my Scania. I'd probably just drive whatever was available. I wouldn't be buying one, most likely. I'd be with a company or something. I don't know. Oh.
Exit right.
What's up with this road surface? But that's not another graphical glitch I need to deal with. I'll bet it is.
I think so, the way it's showing up.
Yeah, it just started here recently, but I at least noticed it anyhow.
Matthew Ross says, I started doing that out of concern. I did it to have my own copies of daily logs as a truck assistant when I did that.
Well, as an owner-operator,
Keep right.
I had the ability to, and maybe not just because of that, but I had the ability to download my logs from Schneider's website from my. We have an interface, a website to access various things. I can download my logs. I still have them. They're in PDF form. Because you might need them if you go to another place. As an owner-operator, you have to maintain your logs for a certain period of time. I don't remember if it's 3 years or 5. So yeah, I still have my logs. I think there was a bit of a gap. Go ahead.
Or says, I did all my logging on paper at day's end. Best time of day.
Yeah. That's right. You can write your own story that way.
Bob asked, how easily could you cheat e-logs? Could you play it smart?
Playing smart would be to not cheat your e-logs. Because at the end, you're just going to get caught and you're going to get heavily fined. You know, I shared a story where somebody did that. They cheated their logs. They got caught.
Turn left.
And it didn't take them long to get caught either. Because there are red flags that go up when you're, you know, driving 800 or 900 miles in a day when you're only logging 10 hours of driving. That's not happening. That raises a red flag.
Get ready to turn left.
Then your logs get audited by safety.
Turn left.
And it doesn't take them long to figure out what you're doing. Ow. They hit the curb.
Turn right.
I'll admit, I had to, you know, unhook mine a few times, but that was just to get either home or
turn right
to get to a rest area. Because it would, you know, I know you get that hour safe haven freeway,
ready to turn right.
You know, but you know, sometimes, especially out here in the Northeast, it's go take you over an hour to find a truck spot.
Yeah. But no matter what, if you do that, you got some explaining to do.
Yep.
And you got to explain, well, why couldn't you get somewhere in the allowed time?
Yep.
Get ready to turn right.
And, you know, I'm not really making an excuse, but that's how my trainer showed me it. And he's like, sometimes you might have to do it. And this was back when e-logs were still new, so it was a lot easier. Now, they're so integrated into the trucks now, it's almost, you really can't do anything. It's not worth it. Like you said, you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, it's not just unplugging it from underneath the bunk anymore. It's hardwired into the trucks now.
Right. In my particular situation, I had one of those blue screens of death.
Yeah.
And okay. And I was frustrated with it, and so I pulled off the side of the road, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, so I wound up calling the Qualcomm tech support. And the tech support guy walked me through what to do. He goes, you know, don't do this on a regular basis, but if you have a problem, you can do X. And that's what I did. Here's where I'm using that digital camera in the front so I can see how close to get to that pole. So he actually told me how to do that over the phone while I'm on the side of the road, because I didn't want to do paper logs. And the crazy thing was, a city cop, because I was in town, or part of town, a city cop pulled up behind me and walked up and asked me, you know, what's going on? And so I told her what the deal was, and I said I'm on the phone with the service guy trying to get this sorted out for my e-logs. Now, city cops don't get involved with truckers' e-logs. That's a state police function. Well, you know, once I told her what was going on, and that I was just trying to get this sorted out, and then I would be on my way, she just left me alone. But she had, because I didn't have my triangles out behind me. And I told her, I said, I should be back moving here shortly. But if not, I'll put them out. So she left me alone with that. All right, 679. What are they?
I'm just saying.
Plastic pipes.
No one ever uses them out here. Very rarely do you
see
triangles?
Them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've used them a few times, unfortunately.
So have I. I even had a state trooper run them over and break them on me.
They're cheap, fragile things.
Uh-huh.
They're easy to break. I mean, if you get the really cheap ones, which most people do, they break real easy.
Dom says, thankfully the cabin cameras and microphones aren't a thing over here. If you can't trust your driver, maybe change careers.
Cameras are more, sorry, but like the cameras are more, it's an insurance thing, because out here, if a truck gets into an accident, it's the truck driver's fault if there's no way to prove otherwise.
Get ready to turn right.
So the dash cams are,
turn right.
You know, they're an annoyance to us, but they're also kind of a safety guard.
So long as you're not doing things that actually did cause the accident.
Uh-huh. I plead the fifth. But
get ready to
yeah,
turn
because
right.
you get people that will get in front of you, slam on their brakes, and if you hit them,
turn right.
The way they look at it out here is you're the commercial driver.
Right.
You're responsible. Unless you have a dash cam to show that they caused it.
Right, and that's why I had my own dash cam mounted in the front of my window looking out. That's not the same camera I used to record video with. This was an always-on dash cam that would record several hours, and it just re-record over the old footage. But it would keep several hours of video, and it was there in case you ever had to prove a point.
Outback Jack's got some fighting words for Nicholas. He says, Scania's roadside assist can't be beat.
Get ready to turn
and
left.
make sure your driver has food and water.
Yeah, you always got to have food and water. You just never know when you're going to get stuck in a backup on the freeway that lasts for 4 to 6 hours. It's happened to me many times.
Rex says, yeah, you got some explaining to do. Not just explaining, but explaining.
Explaining. Got some explaining to do to safety.
Hamza Kin is in the house.
Hey, Hamza, welcome.
Stop says, normal dash cam, I understand, but those that face inside, here is a privacy violation.
Yeah, it ought to be a privacy violation. But we don't have a... When you're working, you don't have that privacy here. You'd think so, but it's like any other job you go to. We have surveillance cameras all over back of house areas. Of course, in my case, mostly that was because I work in the casino industry. There's a lot of surveillance cameras all throughout the place because of the nature of the business. But that's true in a lot of industries now. They don't have them in the private areas like bathrooms and things, as far as I know.
I like how you threw that in there.
I mean, you could do that. I mean, you know, working in the casino industry, you have a whole surveillance department. And most of the time, they're, you know, they have surveillance cameras they're monitoring out on the gaming floor. But also in back of house areas, especially like the counting rooms where money is handled, lots of cameras in there. But I was, and this is a thing that happened before I worked at this one place. They had a department manager, and this is, you know, computers were still relatively new. Computers connected to the internet were still fairly new in the industry. Yeah, maybe 10 years old by that time. But anyway, there weren't a lot of safeguards in place for where people could go visit, you know, websites. And this one manager was using his work computer. I mean, he had a private office. So he'd be in there with his door closed, and it'd be on porn sites. And not just any porn sites, but kiddie porn sites. And the IT department got suspicious. I don't know how it all went down, but somehow they figured out he was doing this, but they needed video proof. So they put a strategically located pinhole camera in the ceiling of his office, looking down at his, so he could see the computer screen and him. And they busted him. They fired him. I think the cops took him away. Foolish people doing foolish things. Anyway, surveillance cameras. You don't have the assumption of privacy in a workplace or any public place.
Rashid says, won't Swifty drivers take offense to the Swifty Awards?
I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, most of them get it.
Mega Trucking Replay says, taking a break, our flight was diverted because of ash in Mexico, so it's going to be a light night. Still 2 planes tonight.
Ash? Was there a volcano I didn't hear about? Or a big fire?
Or says, despite incriminating myself, we always had Donald Duck drive the truck from home to Papper so that there was a full drive time to start the week on. We could not drive into Germany until after Sunday evening at 10 p.m.
What was the name?
Donald Duck.
Oh. I thought there was a play on that name.
No, I messed up.
Oh.
Ryan says, did you ever use a map in real life trucking?
Yeah. I would use my Trucker's Road Atlas quite a bit. Well, not quite a bit, but from time to time.
Trucker's Bible.
Yeah, no, I mean, there were such things before smartphones. Yeah, let me pull in here.
That
Oh, I'm not
Road
going in
Atlas
there.
was a must.
Yeah.
I still have mine.
Yeah, I still have mine right here by my desk.
Yeah.
Mostly what I used it for was when I was traveling on, I'll say back roads. I mean, my GPS worked great, but there was the occasional road where I needed to look at it on a map And also, and this is why it would be called the Trucker's Bible, you've got all kinds of information in there about clearances on different state highways or even county roads. Because while federal highways, the interstate system, they all have minimum clearances of, I think it's 14 feet, it might be more.
Go straight on.
No, actually I think it is more. But anyway, so you never even have to think about it when you're driving on a U.S. interstate system highway. Some state highways, which were developed back in the 30s and 40s, they occasionally have some clearance issues, especially back east. Yeah, TK's chuckling because he knows exactly what I'm talking
Go
about,
straight on.
since he lives and works back east.
Buffalo's horrible.
And there's Newark, not Newark, but another Bergen, New Jersey, I think it is, where you can't, like the truck route goes down a particular road and it's in town, and just before you get to a railroad overpass, you have to divert onto a different road to go a different way.
Keep right. and
Because
then
there's
turn
not
left.
enough clearance. And if you've ever seen that YouTube
right.
channel related to the 11'8" bridge or whatever it's called, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That's not the same location that I'm referring to, but it's the same kind of thing. And mostly it gets RV drivers and people who are driving rented a truck to move, because they don't think about the road heights like professional truck drivers do most of the time. Hello. Ah. Well, I thought I could make it.
Yeah, Rashid was pointing out my error that I said druck. And he says, Grandpa Boom Boom got lost. Now, Mega says a volcano blew between the Gulf of Mexico and Guadalajara, so it got diverted to Houston.
Wow, no, I didn't know that.
I'm just saying, I think here one company tried to push for the inside-facing camera, but there were trucking circles where it didn't take long to go around, and companies went under due to not getting drivers.
Well, that's one way to fix a problem. Most of that kind of stuff, well, the inside facing camera issue, that's driven by insurance requirements. Companies that are big enough, their insurance companies, especially if they have a lot of issues, it will require them to have the interior facing cameras. And some companies just want it because when you have a high accident rate, your insurance goes
At the
up
roundabout.
for your entire
Turn
fleet.
left.
Not just for individual drivers, but for your entire fleet. And so
Exit now.
it's a money saving factor. I mean, plus you want to get a handle on bad drivers because bad drivers can kill people. And that's not okay, obviously. Speaking of back roads, this is a back road. I think I'm gonna. I'm not ready to switch the time yet, but in a little while.
That's something I just noticed. You guys got the kind of like the blind spot monitoring in the mirrors. Lights up when someone's alongside you.
That's the feature on this truck. It's
Yeah,
I got the sensors. You have to install them as an option.
Cool. Guess I'll get to play with it
Turn
tomorrow.
right.
Yeah, so it yeah, it flashes the yellow dashed line in the digital mirror.
I like how big the mirrors are too. They're not like the ones on the DAF.
Yeah.
They look like an iPad.
Yeah, and I don't remember how big the ones are on the DAF, but these are nice.
They're probably a little longer, but you know, like almost the same width as what the metal bar is there that it's hooked to. So
Hey, Pillar.
yeah, shush. Listen, I've had no food, no coffee, no nothing
What?
yet.
What's
Yeah,
up with that?
I woke up a half an hour before your stream. That's what's up with that.
I'll tell you what, within a half an hour of waking up, I've got coffee. And I've got food. I mean, I don't make an elaborate breakfast.
Well, if my stuff was still downstairs, I would have.
Oh,
Now it's upstairs and it's in the room next to my bedroom. So
yeah,
a
it's
lot of
easy
stairs
just.
to be climbing.
Yeah, it's easy just to shuffle on into the next room.
Yep.
Well, I mean, this is my bedroom, so I'm really
Yep.
close to the bed. But I have to have coffee, and I've got to splash some water on my face. At the very least. I mean, I can't come on here and be in a live stream looking like a scraggly old man just because I am a scraggly old man.
Well,
Just saying.
You don't want to know what I look like right now. My hair is all over the place. My beard is all yeah. Oh,
Your beard looks scraggly on a good day.
yeah. I gotta go somewhere and get it taken care of.
You know, they sell scissors at the store.
Yeah, but I'm not good with that hand and eye coordination on myself in a mirror.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't use
and if
scissors
I
for
mess
that.
It up, if I mess it up, you're talking almost I'm getting close to a year now of growing this out. I'd hate to have to start over.
Well, I've gotten good with my electric trimmers. Now, I trim this down fairly trim. 'Cause I don't like to be all scraggly. I went through that scraggly phase.
My goal is to have a Duck Dynasty beard.
Oh, Omega says, did you use a Rand McNally trucker map or routes or for your routes or the GPS?
Oh, GPS, but I used the Rand McNally. Well, I had a Rand McNally GPS, but I used the Rand
I was gonna ask
McNally.
that.
Yeah, I used the Rand McNally Truckers Atlas, the paper copy as a backup, and it's just generally looking at my route. If it was an unusual route, if it was interstate, I didn't need anything. For a thing that I've done in the past, I didn't even have to think about it. If I was going from LA to Chicago, I just get on the freeway and head up I-15, I-10 to I-15, I-15 to I-40, I-40 to Oklahoma City, I-44 to St. Louis, I-55 from St. Louis to Chicagoland. Still remember it. Don't even have to think about it.
What model of GPS did you have?
Rand McNally.
No, like there's what size?
Oh, I don't remember. It's probably 5-inch, something like that, 4 or 5 inch.
Have you seen the new ones?
I may have. Last time I was at a truck stop.
They're bigger than an iPad Mini,
Wow.
and they basically are a tablet. It's a multi-purpose thing now. It's like $4.99.
Yeah. You know, on some of the trucks I have where I've got a good size GPS mounted on the A-pillar to the left of the steering wheel, that's what I had in real life.
Keep right, and then turn right.
Speaking of the A-pillar, Stop said if you take the normal mirrors, you can have a yellow LED strip
Turn
on the
right.
A-pillar.
So that would serve the same purpose?
Yeah. Like in my truck, I have a yellow triangle like what you see in the cars for the blind spot monitoring.
Oh yeah, I guess I have seen that. In some of the trucks I drove for Penske Truck Leasing, some of the newer ones.
Yeah.
It also had the one with when you got too close to the white line on the right or left,
Oh my god.
and it would go.
Yeah.
I'm like, where the hell's the damn button? Turn that off.
That's the only safety thing you can turn off too.
Yeah, but it turns itself back on after a while.
Yes.
Oh, I
And the new
hated that
ones.
thing.
Like that. Remember when I had to have that sleeper for a rental?
Yeah.
That one stayed off. I didn't have to keep turning it on and off. But the new ones, it only stays off for about 15 minutes and then it turns itself back on.
Right.
And what bothers me is when I'm listening to my audiobooks and that goes off through the speakers, it resets my Bluetooth and then starts playing music.
Oh, that's aggravating.
Yes, it is. Really aggravating. And then the stupid, I like the blind spot monitor. I just wish it wouldn't freaking, like the car's in front of you and you know you can get over, but if you hit that blinker too soon, you're listening to that loud beep telling you that there's a car there. Or if you're trying to signal that you need to get over to try to get the cars to back off, it's gonna go off.
Right.
And it's just, or the following too close monitor. They're a convenience
At
and
the
an
roundabout,
annoyance at the same
Take the
time.
second exit.
Right. If, that's why I'd have to buy my own truck,
Exit now.
and I'd have to get that stuff customized, if possible, so that it could be disable the things I hate, and set the other ones so they wouldn't interrupt my Bluetooth. Wow, is there like nowhere to stop around here?
And like I'm just glad that I know a lot of OTR companies disable this ability, but I can change like my plus minus for the adaptive cruise control, and I can change the following distance. It's still limited to I think +2 over, minus or 0 under, and then following distance, the lowest I can put it is 2.4 seconds of distance. It defaults at 3.8. But
Here I am going the wrong way again. I don't need fuel, I just need to turn in here.
you're there, you might as well fuel up. Mr.
I got plenty of fuel. I got like 3/4
Yeah,
of
you
the
do.
tank.
Nor says, I once drove down a little road and ended up at a low bridge. No room to turn around, so I had to reverse 16 kilometers. Could have used
Oh.
a TomTom, but only had the map book.
That's crazy.
You're talking like what the low bridge is. There's a couple bridges in the city of Buffalo that say that they're lower than 13.6, but you can still get under them with a 13.6 truck, no problem. That is one of the annoyances out there.
Yeah, I ran into that.
And even on my road test, when I took my road test for my CDL, they took me under that one of those bridges. And I think it was more of a, they knew we could get under it, but they wanted to make sure that the driver recognizes that, hey, that sign's there.
Yeah.
Because you got to call out all the street signs that are relevant to you during your road test. At least I had to. But
There's my GPS. It's
Okay.
Rand McNally. I don't know what
it looks like the 720.
$730.
730? Okay.
Oh yeah, it's almost a 7-inch diagonal, like 6 3/4 inch
Yep.
diagonal dimensions. So this is the GPS that I used for the last couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years on the road. And then this is my backup. And we had access. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, it's because it's backwards. I don't know. Is that right side? Can you read that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Restricted routes.
Right. So there's restricted routes that you need to know about as a trucker. So if I go to New York, there's a big long list. Well, actually, it's like a whole half page, left and right side, of restricted routes to take, or that you should avoid. Low clearance locations. And so one of those was US Highway 11. I think it was 11. It was north of West Point on the west side of the river. So actually it's not listed on here that I can tell. The sign over the overpass said it was like 11.9 or something, but it had plenty of clearance for a truck to get through. I actually backed up. I pulled over on the shoulder. I backed up to pull over on the shoulder, and I had my atlas out and I'm looking for information on it. And I was just about to do something. Was that Stobbs that said that? Where I was going to have to back up a ways to find a Thor. Okay, because it was a divided highway, and I thought I was going to have to back up until I found a place to cut across. But while I was contemplating this, another truck came and drove right underneath the overpass. No problem. I was just like, because I read the sign. I always look at those signs, especially when I'm out on the East Coast. Anyway, a lot of good information in this. Well, this one's a little old, it's 2014, but there's a lot of good information in here, not just for restricted roads, but various state laws, things that are allowed or disallowed.
That's actually the same year that I have, except I got the hard-covered one.
Yeah, it's a critical thing that you need as a truck driver.
I got actually it was laminated because I was able to doodle in it, and then if I'd use like a dry erase.
Oh yeah. Speaking of dry erase, I actually saw at least one YouTube trucker that used a dry erase, or not dry erase, but a wax pencil. When right on the inside of the windshield in the top corner, notes about the route or important things about the delivery. So it'd be right there in her face. I thought that was a good idea. Oh, I didn't change the time yet.
That's a must-have because you can never fully trust your GPS.
Nope.
Especially the one that's integrated into the electronic logs.
Yep. I got lucky with that. It was right most of the time, but every once in a while you'd run into a problem.
The U.S. Express didn't use Qualcomm. They used something that I think they came up with on their own. I can't remember, Driver Tech or something like that.
Huh.
And it was this big, almost took out the whole dash opening that's above all your buttons. Basically, it was a tablet that just didn't come out of the truck. And it was nice. I preferred it because, you know, when I went to go work for Western, I wound up with Qualcomm and I hated it. My first truck had that big bulky thing that you had to keep behind your seat.
I'm not familiar with that. I had a Qualcomm, but it was a unit that mounted.
Yeah, that was the
on the
ones.
dash. Okay.
Yeah, the old ones were.
I don't remember seeing that before. Yeah, I did. I forgot to switch pages. There we go. World War II artifacts.
Yeah. But yeah, the low bridge thing. You ever do the thing where, like, they do on ice road truckers where when you think it's too low, you're standing on your steps as you're creeping under it?
Not quite, but almost. Like that one bridge I was talking about. I mean, I've literally rolled down the window and I'm sticking my head out watching as best I can.
Mm-hmm.
As I slow roll underneath the overpass.
I did that with a bridge that wasn't labeled, even though if it's not labeled, it's supposed to be at least 14 foot, but it did not look
right
14 foot, and it was on a back road in the Midwest somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, and it was just a regular 2-lane. So I'm like, oh boy. And I'm a rookie, so that's the last thing I want to do is, you know, pull the can opener routine on my truck and trailer, because it was like only my second load on by myself.
Going back to the buzzers and such, Stop says, reminds me of when a friend was driving an older model Actros. He was listening to music, and when the lane departure buzzer came on, it blew the right side speaker.
Maybe he had the music up a little too loud? But wow, that's odd. I mean, yeah.
Get ready to turn.
That international rental that I had last time, the lane departure was actually, you know how you got the speakers up that are supposed to be meant for your CB that are built into the truck?
Yeah, right.
They took those over.
Turn left.
And
made
it into the lane departure speaker. So I could never hear my CB when it was going off because
that's a separate speaker from the stereo system.
Yep. So it was a bit annoying, but
hey, buddy, back off. I'm driving here.
Give him a little love tap to back off.
Or said low bridges are only a problem for the first time you go under it. Next time the truck and trailer should fit.
Assuming there hasn't been any excessive settling. But yeah.
Dobbs, here's a question, probably for TK more. Does East Coast or wherever there is snow, do they include margins for the extra road height with snow so that it's higher in reality than the sign says?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. It's not, well, it's not higher. It's so the bridge will be higher than what the sign actually says.
Huh.
So they do that for up to about 4 inches of snow buildup. And because...
Learn something new.
when they repave roads, they don't, every time they repave a road, they don't go over and grind it all the way back down to the ground. They add another layer. So they have to accommodate for that as well. So you know, if they do the initial road paving where it's right down to the ground, to the dirt, and put a layer on, that bridge is actually going to have a higher clearance than what it would be to where their last layer they can put on. One thing, and I think it's everywhere, if the sign is white, then that's the exact height.
Keep right, and then turn right.
In New York, that's how it is. If you get a bridge height sign that is white, that is the exact height. There is no wiggle room.
Turn
If you
right.
get a sign that is yellow, there's wiggle room in it, and I forgot what the inch difference is supposed to be. And normally the yellow signs will also show the two arrows, you know, an arrow pointing up, an arrow pointing down. A white sign is just bridge height is whatever, and that's what it is. Like I said, I don't know if that's nationwide, but I know that's what they do here in New York because that's something they taught us in school.
Keep left, and then turn left.
So, again,
Turn left.
that's why not everybody drives these big trucks. There's a lot to know. That's why you're considered the professional driver. Putting air quotes around professional driver. There's a reason why he's got a Swifty counter down there. I'm still kind of bummed that they bought out my initial company I worked for.
Keep left, and then turn left.
Now I don't want to tell people I used to work for them because they're under Swift.
Turn left.
Well, the company that the fleet operator that I started with was bought by Swift. And it was only a coincidence that I was working my way out when I heard that they were bought by Swift.
Yep.
Or being acquired. So I'm like, oh yeah, nope, I'm definitely leaving now. I didn't want any part of that.
And you know, the first big company that they bought, Knight, was someone else that I was looking to go drive for too.
Yeah, I had talked to them when I was trying to get started, but they did. You need to have like 2 years experience, is what they told me.
When I first got my license, the companies I had in mind were Too Much Chrome or TMC, Warner, US Express, and it was a refrigerated company that focused on the northeast or the eastern part of the country. I can't remember the name of them now. I don't see them anymore, so I think they went under. It wasn't Central because Central's all over.
Right.
Man, it's going to drive me nuts now. But I went with US Express because of the fact of, like I told you before, none of their trucks were over 2 years old or had 500,000 miles on them for company drivers. They had blindside cameras for your blind side mirror. They had the up-to-date, better e-logs, and the pay was better compared to the other ones. They had a bigger sign-on bonus too. Although I didn't last with US Express long enough to get the sign-on bonus. I already had a local job lined up.
Yeah,
But
when
they
I
did
first started my search, I mean, I had already been out on the road a little bit with a friend, and had my CDL, So I was starting to look at, because my plan was to work for the same
Go
company
straight
as that my friend was. I don't remember why that didn't work out. It was a really small company, and I wound up not going that route. Felt like I didn't know enough.
Bedrock says his hand is up for the stage.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. Yes, it is.
But I looked at Swift. It's before I knew anything about them. Looked at CRST. A couple of other companies too. None of them were interesting. Well, Swift, I tried to get on with Swift, but I couldn't drive the manual shift. I thought I could, but my only experience at that point, what little experience I had in a truck, was with an automatic. I hadn't driven a manual shifter since, like 35 years before that in a truck. And that was when I was in the military. But then I got a heads up from a CRST trainer. I went to a truck stop to talk to drivers to get their input. And the guy who was a trainer with CRST, he said, yeah, don't go with CRST. Because when I told him all the different companies I was looking at, and he was the one who actually told me about Central Refrigerated. I hadn't even heard of them at that point. And that was the best advice I got. Well, don't go to CRST.
And then continue straight
I
on.
didn't want any part of being a team driver. And that's what CRST
Go
does.
straight on.
You got Bedrock in there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I just jumped in here to elaborate a little bit on the bridge clearances. And I'm not real sure exactly what they do in New York. I'm sorry, but there is a manual that regulates highway markings. It's called the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. It's the MUTCD, and that's what regulates all the markings on the state highways and the federal highways, and it's regulated by the FHWA, which is the Federal Highway Administration. Anytime they mill off underneath those bridges on a state highway or federal highway, if that milling changes by more than 1 inch, we are to check the new clearances on that bridge. The buffer that is normally put on that bridge is 3 inches. So if the lowest clearance that we have on a bridge overhead, let's say, is 14.7, we're going to post that bridge at 14.4. The yellow and white reflective signs are the ones that are those are the ones that are used. The MUTCD specifies that the yellow and black reflective signs are the ones that are to be used for those bridges. Now, TK, I don't know about the white and black, but I do know that the yellow and black reflective are the ones that are to be used, and that's something that the FHWA regulates and says in the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. So there's supposed to be, if it's done properly and your bridge inspector is doing the job that he's supposed to be doing and checking the clearances properly, there is a 3-inch buffer.
And then exit
Now,
right.
you are going to be held to whatever the clearance is posted on that bridge, but we
Exit
posted with a 3-inch buffer to keep traffic from striking that bridge, and so that when they get ready to route oversized, overweight loads, they have plenty of clearance, so that if there's any bounce when that truck goes underneath the bridge, it shouldn't strike that bridge when it goes under.
And for the benefit of the audience who may not know, Bedrock, can you share why you know this?
I am a federally certified bridge inspector. I inspect on-system bridges, which are state highway and and interstate bridges. I also inspect what they call off-system, which are county road bridges, and I also inspect bridges on federal installations, U.S. Army bases. So,
Got a little authority in the field.
anyway, I don't know about the white and black signs. I'm probably going to do a little more research on that. But I do know that the signs that are
Get ready to
mandated,
turn
if
right.
you will, I hate to use that word, but that's the regulation by the FHWA, which is it's an acronym for Federal Highway Administration.
Turn right.
And the reason why it's mandated that way is because in order to get federal highway money, the states must comply
Get ready
with
to turn left.
these standards.
Exactly. All your states, all your bridges that are inspected, well,
Turn left.
whether they be a state highway bridge or a county bridge, in whatever state you're in, that money comes right straight from the federal government, because the FHWA is the one that regulates the bridge inspections. So the money comes from the federal government down through the state, down through the state, down to the county. But when it all comes back through, it all goes back to the federal government, and that's who regulates everything as far as the bridges go.
Right. So when we
And
pay fuel taxes, the federal portion of the fuel taxes and the use taxes that we pay as truck drivers for our trucks, that's where that revenue comes from to fund that stuff. Sorry, I'm done interrupting you now.
The white,
That's okay.
the white and black signs you only see on like your local back roads.
Your residential roads, not your state
Yeah.
highway. Yeah, those are the ones that you're going to see on, like your city streets.
Yep.
You're not going to see those signs on state highway or federal highway bridges. You're going to see the yellow and black reflective signs.
Mm-hmm.
And those are mandated by the federal government. So, as far as state goes, now let me clarify all this. A bridge is defined in the bridges that, because you're going to have a lot of bridges out there that don't fit into this criteria, but a federal highway bridge that is on what they call the National Highway Bridge Inventory, or National Bridge Inventory System,
Keep
NBIS,
right, and then
is a
turn
bridge
right.
that spans more than 20 foot long. So if a bridge does not span more than
Turn
20
right.
foot long, it's not on the National Bridge Inventory System. But those that are on the National Bridge Inventory System are regulated by the Federal Highway Administration and the National Highway Institute. And those are the bridges that, when it comes to the bridge markings and things, they're mandated by the Federal Highway Administration. And it all comes back to this MUTCD, which is the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
So there is a method to the madness. And I knew there was, but I didn't know the
Then
specifics.
turn left.
But I did know that federal highway
left.
tax dollars are tied, or the states have to comply with various things to get those tax dollars.
Yep. All right. I'm off the stage.
Thanks. Thanks for getting off. No, thanks for the information. I like stuff like that
Here
personally.
we are. Safe and
Yep.
sound.
Okay, I found the company I was thinking of, and they still are around, and they've expanded. It was Trans Am was the other one I was looking
Oh
at.
yeah.
But it looks like you don't see any western states that they cover. I see Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, and the rest of them are all your eastern states. Alabama. Oh no, they go all the way to Arkansas. Colorado now. So yeah, they've expanded, because before you wouldn't go any further east than like Indiana.
That's kind of like Hirschbach. They used to not go out west. Now, even before I came off the road, they were going out west. They were doing Midwest and East.
Yep, now they're definitely going up because they just landed one of the biggest contracts of their life. Wally World.
Yeah.
Walmart. Look at that. That is something you don't see all the time. I'm looking at their driver requirements, and they say DWI and DUI are accepted as drivers.
They must be hurting for drivers.
Allowable moving violations is 3. Preventable accidents is 2, which is the norm. No experience whatsoever, so they're still taking, rookies, and it's all T680s.
Ooh, nice. Oops.
All trucks have condo cabs, dual bunks, APU units, power inverters, and satellite radio.
That's a nice looking truck.
How do you like your my over-the-road trucking adventure right there under the windshield?
It's different, but I think it stands out very well.
Yep. And now you can put your bars and your lights on top without it getting covered.
Right. And I was actually thinking that having it down there was going to interfere with putting lights on the very front of the truck, but it's not even an option with this truck. So, no, that worked out really well.
The way I did your skin, the reason why like your link in the description below is so low and the buy me a coffee button is so low is so that you can use any trim level on this truck and your skin will still work.
Well,
so
I am going to wrap it up here. Is that a light pole behind me? Must be a light pole behind me.
One question that came up yet. Nicholas asked, if I were to move to the U.S. and start trucking, would I be considered a rookie even though I've got 7 years experience in the EU?
Wow. Well, you don't have any U.S. experience with U.S. equipment on U.S. roads with U.S. laws. So I would think that you would be considered a rookie, but would progress beyond that quickly because you actually have truck driving experience.
Yeah.
Thinking about making a move?
I know, like here, like when I was looking for work, like how they determine experience out here too is if you're local, you got to cut your experience in half if you're trying to get in with a OTR company. So when I went back to over the road with Western Express and they were using my local experience, they cut it in half. So local being defined as you stayed in your state. If you cross state lines, then they consider you regional, even if you're home every night, and would give you the OTR experience at full bowl. But I got into a fight with Western because they tried putting me with a trainer, and I was getting ready to go back home.
Well, Nicholas, if you do decide to make the move, you have to share your experience with us. Yeah, I think Stubbs is right. Not about understanding how to drive a truck, but also the trucks are different. But it would be I mean, you could probably, for all intents and purposes, you could master driving an American truck within a week or two. Certainly within a month, you'd be up to speed completely. There might be a few things I can't think of off the top of my head that where it might be an issue. Vigner, and I'm looking at the chat now, Lurch. Let's see. I see Thor had made a couple comments. Don't know how it is here in EU, but that might be why my bridge was not in the road outlets. I must have missed something there. For people who don't have experience driving a truck in real life and have a CDL, what company would you recommend to them to apply to? I would, and TK, maybe you could chime in on this too, but any large, either regional or national company, but you'd still be considered a rookie. That's what I had a CDL when I went and joined Central Refrigerated. I still had to go through their driving school because I had to learn their way of doing things. And I had to prove that I could do it. And it was a good move for me, actually. I learned a lot by going through their school, but I already had my CDL. That was a national company. So you could join Swift, or you could join US West, or you could join any of the big national companies, or even a regional company. Is there anything you want to add to that, TK?
I mean, to get like specifics, you mentioned Swift. I would still, I mean, they get a bad rep because they're big. So they have more trucks and drivers on the road than probably any other company in the States.
Yep.
But, starting off, like I said, I stay away from JB Hunt. Just off of chatter from other drivers, I've heard like Schneider's a good one to work for. Who's the other one? I've had ups and downs, different experiences with Prime. Prime is now hiring company drivers. They're not just a lease or owner-op company anymore. As in regards to their depth of training, I'd say Prime gives you the most experience that way, where a lot of classroom stuff, where they're going to teach you a lot of stuff that, kind of might have been left out in your school if you went to school for your CDL or whatnot. I've talked to a couple drivers from Prime, and they really give you the tools you need to succeed out there.
Yeah. Let me address one thing about trucking schools in the U.S. anyway. You go to a trucking school, you learn how to drive a truck. You learn how to maneuver a truck in traffic in town. But even with Central Refrigerated's 2-week training period, I didn't learn any of the things that I needed to know about going to shippers and receivers. I learned that from spending 5 weeks out on the road with a trainer, which was part of the training program. But you don't learn that in trucking schools that you pay big money to go to learn how to drive a truck. You learn how to drive a truck, and you learn how to pass the driving test with DMV to get your CDL. But you don't learn all the things you need to know about going to shippers and receivers and even truck stop.
Yep.
So it's a good way to get your foot in the door if you go to a truck driving school.
Yep.
But I recommend going to a company that has their own internal training program.
Yes.
Because you'll learn, first of all, you'll learn their way of doing things. You'll learn what you need to know to drive the truck, and then you'll go out on the road with a trainer and learn a bunch of stuff associated, not everything, but you'll learn a lot of stuff that you need to know about dealing with shippers and receivers, checking in, where to check in, where to stage if you get there. The nuances. Like, I didn't know anything about like flashing my lights when I was maneuvering at a shipper, receiver, or truck stop until I was out on the road with my trainer. And then I learned it, and I understood why it made sense. So trucking schools are okay, but you really need to go to a good fleet operator.
The school I went to, they didn't have docks. We backed into cones.
Yeah.
Never learned how to hook a trailer. I actually had to, we did because I said something to the trainer. He's like, well, we don't usually do it. I said, well, isn't that something that we should know how to do? How to unhook and hook our trailers, how to back into them. You know, it'd be kind of embarrassing. You go to a school or you go to a company and they tell you to back into a trailer and you don't know what you're doing. But that's the other thing too. One thing to look at if you do the research, see what that company requires their drivers to have before they can become a trainer. Because there's some companies out there that'll give someone that only has 6 months on the road that trainer title. So he's still pretty fresh. He doesn't know everything in 6 months of being on the road.
Right. That's a fact.
And the one downside I had with US Express is there were certain states, not all of them, but they forced you to team drive with another rookie driver for your first 30 days after training.
Ugh.
And to me, putting 2 rookies in a truck together is not the smartest move in the world.
No.
Especially 2 people that are from the Northeast that have never been out west in the mountains and don't really know how to handle a truck going down the mountains. So that I was not happy with. But other than that, like I said, that if it wasn't for me having a local job lined up, I probably would have stuck with them. But, you know, you get a local job where you're going to be home every night and you're making hourly rate, not mileage. It's kind of a no-brainer, especially when you only got 4 months experience under your belt. And back then, local companies were not hiring people without at least 2 years on the road.
Yeah. Let me get to some of these older questions here. I just saw one from Stobbs, who said, you don't get a limitation in your license if you drive your test in automatic? Yes. If you take your test at the DMV, you are restricted to, if the truck that you use is an automatic transmission, you have a restriction to only automatics. I am so glad that I did not do that. I didn't even know about it at the time. I think it was something fairly new. I did it. I did mine in automatic, but I had my CDL for everything. And it's a good thing because I would not want to be restricted to automatic, but that's a thing now.
Yep.
So
Just chime in real quick. That's actually what I was going for job interviews the last couple years here. That's one of the first questions that was asked to me. Do I have an automatic restriction on my license? Because sometimes these companies, if you get a rental truck, it might not be an automatic. And if you can't drive a stick, they need to know.
Right. Yeah, when I worked at Penske Truck Leasing, most of the trucks were automatics, but some of them were manuals. And of the 3 or 4 people that I worked with there that had CDLs, only 2 of us were free of that restriction. And so we got to drive the other trucks that were manual transmissions. Let's see. Ryan asked the question, if you buy Pro Mods, does it give you free updated next versions? It's virtually free anyway. Just buying it is a misnomer. It's so cheap, it's virtually free. I mean, I paid $3.75 US to download the whole bundle. Most of the like if you can get it free, but I recommend you pay just to throw them some money for the work that they do. But most of the things, like if you just get Pro Mods Europe, it's $1 or €1, I think. So it's either $1 or $1.50, and €1 is the equivalent. No, every time you download, you have to decide if you want the free download or if you want to pay for the premium download. I recommend you go with the premium just to help support them a little bit. But I mean, even $1 or €1, I mean, that's nearly free. So why not support them? Let's see. Oh, yeah, and Stops kind of answered it. I mean, it is free, but you have to download any updates, so you have to follow the same process to get the update. I paid both times, and I have no qualms with doing that. Yes, it's essentially free. And you don't have to pay to download every time, Thor, but I recommend that you do. First of all, if you don't pay, you have to download each file individually. It can take quite a while. If you pay, then you get them zipped up into a bundle, and you get all of the files for that thing all at once for $1. Let's see. Getting through here, foot brake all the way down. Oh, I missed something. Hey, Trucking Kid, welcome to the stream. We're just wrapping things up. Yeah, you really are paying for just the download. You're not really paying for the mod. I mean, you're paying for the convenience of getting all of the associated files in one go. Okay, and it's cheap. Why not do it to help support them a little bit? All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks everyone for joining into the live chat. We've got 20 folks in here. Got 18 likes. Somebody's missing 21 folks. 18 likes. Don't forget to like this. Unless you don't like it, then hit thumbs down. How could you not like this?
Thumbs down? Okay.
Thanks to Bedrock for popping in a couple of times. And later on today, I don't have... I had hoped to have a one-on-one convoy later on today, but that was going to be with Omega Trucking Replays, but he's working late, as he mentioned. Again, reiterated earlier. So I don't know when we're going to do his. Hopefully soon. Yeah, I guess that's it. Otherwise, I'm just going to be rambling on. Oh, I didn't do all the shout-outs, but y'all are here. Oh, geez, Nicholas, I just realized you bought 5 coffees earlier. Thanks for that. You know what? I'm just not even going to do the shout-outs because I hardly did any of them, and I need to go. I'm starving. It's been 2.5 hours and change. So later on, 6 p.m. my time, 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll be live streaming, probably not Euro Truck. I think what I'll do is pick up where I left off in my part of the All States Challenge in ATS. I don't remember where that is. I think I was in Montana. So there's a lot of people who've completed it. You know what? Let me give a little update on that. I think I gave a little bit of an update. No, I want to go, but didn't do an update as much as would have liked to have yesterday. So far from what I've recorded, and I know there's a couple more to record, but so far 17 people have completed the All States Challenge. The highest number of total miles was 17,212. Wait, is that right? Number? Yes. And that was Thor. He is our top driver for the challenge so far. The number 2 driver, I believe, is JC Drives, John Collins, with 17,041. So we do have some people that are nipping at their heels. But it remains to be seen whether or not they'll pass them. I don't think I will. But, because I don't, like some of the states that I did, I don't have as many miles as they did. So, whatever. So we're still doing well in the in Trucks book for the overall miles. I don't have that handy. We're still in 7th place for ATS. Firmly in 7th place, but the people behind us have closed the gap a little bit. We are currently in Euro Truck Simulator. We are currently in 227th place. And in ATS, we are in 7th place with over 709,000 miles. So here we are on the 20th. We're 2/3 of the month in, and we're at 709,000 miles. That's impressive. All right, that's it. I'm gonna go for real this time. I haven't updated the credits roll from yesterday. I'll try to get it updated before the next live stream. Thanks for being here, everyone. I appreciate it. Thanks for the coffees. I don't think there's any tips or was there a super chat? I don't know. It's all right. Thanks for being here, though. We'll see you later.